Right, so this is gonna be a bit more rushed than I'd initially intended it to be due to, well, me not planning very well and not having anything to upload in time. But we are actually going to do that little theory video I mentioned in one of the Kubera read-throughs recently about Sura magic, or Fiendish magic, as I imagine it's actually probably called, given you have your Fiendish affinity, as was highlighted in the Asha flashback arc with Vishnu. I have a few notes on stuff. They're not very good notes, but I think this is going to be grounds for... I'm going to throw out some ideas. I'm going to spitball some stuff. It's not going to be very in-depth, apologies. But there's going to lay some groundwork, and I'd like to see how you guys and other people can expand, potentially, on these ideas, or come up or insert their own ideas. Because, you know, that's the fun thing about theories, is when everyone gets involved, you start to have a lot more fun, I think, at least. When you can discuss these types of things, and well, discuss... Jesus... Did you know words might not be my strong suit? Yeah, so I've got notes on my phone. I'm just kind of gonna fucking read them. All right, so the general ideas that you've got is you could have there's two approaches I think you can do to the Sura magic and the Fiendish magic compared to divine magic, and that is you could have them literally just be like a one-to-one comparison. And by the way, for this video, I'm only really going to be focusing on the main Sura clan, so the original kings that the clans are named after, just because it was easier and I didn't have a lot of time. I'm sorry. I've been busy. Right? So, for the main clans, you can... And obviously there's a lot more gods than, the base attributes, but anyway, you'll see what I'm saying. So, a one-to-one comparison between gods and Sura spells. So for, the clan, the attribute of the clan, for example, Ananta, the Ananta clan are Earth attribute. So their spells would be similar to Kubera spells. Again, Earth attribute. However, they would be slightly different. So yes, they'd be physical, and like I said, in the same way as Kubera, but the base level equivalent of a Sura spell, the equivalent of the Hoti Kubera, the Hoti Ananta, for lack of a better phrase, would be something that would increase your physical capabilities, but not necessarily just power, strength, more physical bulk, or just punchy harder. Perhaps something that makes you serpentine-esque. Maybe makes your body malleable, kind of like rubber. Not quite in the same way as Luffy from One Piece, but maybe like your body can bend and stretch in certain ways that it wouldn't normally be able to do. And obviously, again, one other thing that's to be noted is I'm not going to be going into all of the spells, right? Because yeah, we have Hoti and Bavari, but we also have there's more that's implied because of silent magic. As Sierra says, because obviously there's some Kubera spells for like memory stuff, I think it was, like good fortune or whatever, or reading. I can't remember. It's been a little bit since I've read that, and that one offline kind of hasn't stuck fully, but you know what I mean. So I'm not going to go into everything. Just these are very, very general, loose ideas. A one-to-one equivalent for a physical enhancing Ananta spell would be something that makes your body snaky, kind of, I guess. As for what a Bavari equivalent could be, I got no fucking idea. Because Bavari Kubera makes you like float and fly and shit. I don't know how you translate that to snakes. The physical attributes of the clans tends to be what I've drawn mostly from this idea here. For example, Hoti Vayu is the transport spell. And so the equivalent Hoti Garuda would be some sort of transport spell as well, more likely. Maybe it just gives you like wings, or makes you dash a short distance, but it's more repeatably usable than something like Hoti Vayu. Something like that. But then you also have the idea of, well, they're not one-to-one comparisons. They're entirely different, or most likely different, or different enough to be considered their own thing. Because I imagine these two things existing at the same time, they wouldn't just be equivalents of each other. Otherwise, there'd be no difference between Fiendish and Divine magic, other than where you're drawing that power from. And so let's just spitball some ideas, shall we? So for Ananta, obviously Ananta, we know, is the most powerful being. He is the strongest that ever was, right? So his spells would probably be, well, in a similar vein to Kubera's spells, they'd make you strong. you know? It's a bit unfortunate that this one's actually basically one-to-one. But these be like really about you are pure power. Not necessarily physical power, but just raw, just strength, exuding power on a like whole other means to Kubera, right? To the Kubera spells. This is just straight raw power, be it in the form of making you very strong, empowering your other magic spells in a similar way to like Chandra's like amplifying gates or whatever he does, but just for yourself. Like for example, if you cast your Hoti Ananta or equivalent onto yourself, it would make all of your magic more powerful. So it'd only really be useful in that case for if you can cast other spells, potentially of other attributes, or divine spells as well. But also, it would, maybe give you a boost to your magic and perhaps also a boost to your physical capabilities from the like a destructive standpoint. No, like I view this as like this is like the glass cannon type spells. This is just raw, focused, all in on that damage. You're a DPS if you're using Ananta stuff. That's kind of the general idea here. As for Garuda, again, I think this would be like a flight type thing. I mean, it makes sense. They're fucking birds. And perhaps potentially like control of like air and wind. So for example, you could create like an air vacuum around someone to suffocate them. I mean, magic is a tool for killing after all. So you'd have some utility in like flight or short distance dashing. For example, maybe it should be like a speed increase as well. You can have something like that if you want to have like a physical enchantment type spell. But like I think control of the air, flight, again, it is really similar to the Vayu stuff. I apologize, but it makes sense. They're birds, right? As for the God Hava, obviously water makes a whole lot of sense. Be it creation of water, ice, flooding, manipulation of water that already is in place, perhaps. Shooting beams of water, as we, very boring. But or perhaps you could create whirlpools. General water manipulation type abilities, like a waterbender, but you can create the water or something akin to water. Because we know Gadhava can do that. Like he created the environment for the Gadhava Sura in the Sura realm. So he is capable of creating, water, and I guess you could, in a sense, purify as well. That's actually an interesting application. I'm going to be going off on like tangents potentially with these, but like sort of like a purification, a detoxification of liquids, I guess, as well. You have a spell something like that, given the environment for the God Hava in the Sura realm isn't toxic to them, and as anywhere else would be. Then we move on to the Vritra clan. Now these are dragons. And beams. I'm thinking like big beams, like, just fucking Kamehamehas, spirit, beams, energy attacks. And really, really boring. I don't care. It's just what you imagine, And maybe something defensive, like, hardening your skin in the same vein of, like, dragon scales, as like a defensive tool. Make this like a defensive option in comparison to the Ananta being a very aggressive, full powerful option, I guess you could go for something like that. Obviously, as I said at the beginning, you're fully welcome to go, no, that's fucking stupid. Here's what it actually would be like if you really want to. And I actually would like it if you do that, because I want to spark discussion and intrigue, I suppose. The Asura clan, the Buggy Boys, my girl Hura. I was thinking something regenerative, like restorative, but only for yourself, but not in the same vein as returning something to an optimal state. Like this one, these spells, the healing spells, the restoration spells, I always fucking forget the name of. It's so annoying. But I can't remember right now. But something self-healing, very selfish, not in the sense of, restoring something to an ideal state, but like literally like regenerating your cells. Like quite literally rebuilding your flesh. So it would take time, and it might not be pleasant, but it would be a way to fix wounds, potentially, of your own, and maybe if you had a Bhavati equivalent, or a more powerful or silent magic equivalent, you could use it on other people with potential downsides. And maybe you could also have it, like, you can manipulate your body, like, contort, like, have your body generate, like, fucking, well, mandibles or some stuff like that, This would be, again, a lot of these for the Sura ones, mostly, I think it would be very physical based. It's just because Sura, they're more animalistic. They're creatures. They're creatures. Fucking hell, what am I doing? So, as opposed to gods, which probably wouldn't want to get their hands dirty, and so, you've got, like, casting fire or shadows and shit, right? These would be, like, very visceral, very physical, getting in there. Probably more useful for fighters, if a fighter could use magic. Kinara, probably something supportive, I imagine. It's just because of how Shess comes off. Shess is, like, the representative of Kinara in my mind. So something, like, supportive. Maybe not necessarily healing, but, like, buffs. You apply buffs to other people. It's not very interesting, but it could be. The only one I couldn't think of anything for was Yaksha. I can't even remember what attribute they are. So I'll leave Yaksha up to you guys entirely in the comments. Give me your best ideas, your worst ideas, all of your ideas. And then the one that probably is the most obvious is the Taraka clan. The Chaos attribute, quite literally Kali, her Sura. So sealing magic is what the Taraka do, seal transcendentals and stuff like that. But I don't think the spells would let you do anything like that, because that would be a bit strong. Maybe they could, but it basically, Taraka spells would be anti-magic, right? They'd be there to fuck with mages. For example, maybe inversing the effect of spells. If you cast Hoti Kubera on yourself and then somebody cast Hoti Taraka on you, you would, have the inverse effect. You'd be weakened by your own spell. And Taraka probably would have, like, debilitating spells as well to weaken people. There's so they're like debuffers, if you will. Either that, and also maybe have something that, like, disrupts spell calculations in an area around you, like the Chaos barrier does around Eloth, I think. Or is it Rindhalo? I think it's Eloth. I think it's Eloth. It's Eloth, I'm pretty sure. So if I'm wrong, someone's going to call me out on that, right? So something to, basically, this is like a counter to mages. Taraka spells would be to fuck with mages, is the image I have in my mind. And I think you can understand where that comes from. And maybe there'd be some detrimental effects to using Taraka spells as well, because of, Kali and all that. Yeah. But this is just some really, really loose, rambly ideas. If you want to follow up video to this with more detail, perhaps focusing on specific Nastika as well, I'll do some research on them, their abilities, and formulate some actual proper detailed spells, and then maybe even do like a PowerPoint presentation on it or something like that. But yeah, this is just like the initial spitbally stuff. We'll work on it from here, and I'd like to see what you guys think as well, and what your ideas would be. And maybe we can build, get the community going or something like this. I don't know. See how things go. But anyway, with that out of the way, I've been Animosity, you've been you, and I'll take you next time for another video. Ta-ta. For now.